Let's bring in criminal defense attorney Lexie Rigden to talk about all of this. Lexie, good morning to you. As Janley said, this was longer than expected. It was supposed to be an hour of oral arguments. It lasted 3 hours, so a lot was said yesterday. And I want to highlight one moment from Justice Samuel Alito as he grapples with this issue of presidential immunity.
If an incumbent who loses a very close, hotly contested election knows that the president may be criminally prosecuted by a bitter political opponent, will that not lead us into a cycle that destabilizes the functioning of our country? We can look around the world and find countries where we have seen this process, where the loser gets thrown in jail.
I think it's exactly the opposite, Justice Alito.
Yeah, so these are questions that the justices have never had to deal with before. If a president loses re-election, does he have to then worry about getting thrown in jail? So what did we learn yesterday, and where do you see this going?
I think that a lot of the justices were concerned about that on both sides of the aisle. I mean, it's a legitimate question as to how this unfolds in the future, forgetting about Donald Trump, because Neil Gorsuch even said, I'm not worried about this case. I'm worried about the future. I mean, we are making what he said was a law for the ages potentially. And so given some of their questions about their concern that this might be some type of precedent that gets set where political opponents are continually being prosecuted, they seem to be weighing something that's not simply just rubber stamping what the appeals court did, but they seem to be weighing some type of a test going forward for some immunity potentially for acts undertaken in office versus acts that are considered private acts of the president. I think it's very unlikely that they're going to say that a president has blanket immunity over acts public and private, that they can do whatever they want so long as they were president. But I also think that based on the questioning, it seems unlikely that they're just going to rubber stamp what the Court of Appeals said also. So I think we might be in for the Supreme Court coming up with a new test, of a legal test where this might be applied in the future. And if that's the case, it's going to further delay the trial, the January 6th trial for Donald Trump.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. And Justice Sonia Sotomayor on the other side said yesterday, well, wait a second, you know, if a current president considers his political opponent corrupt and kills him, does he also get blanket immunity? So it seems like these justices are going to have to find that fine line where the presidency can function as we know it, but there isn't blanket immunity for everything. You mentioned the timeline. Is it safe to say that when it comes to Donald Trump, because these justices are really dealing with larger issues here, but when it comes to Donald Trump and the January 6th case, will that get thrown back to a lower court that will get decided then after the presidential election?
That's pretty likely. I mean, it's going to have to go back to a lower court. And we already might not have a decision before June. They don't have another public hearing until May, and it's not expected that they might have a decision on something this consequential until June. And so at that point, you're just a few months out from the November election. So if obviously it's a game changer and the case is over if they say that presidents do have immunity. I don't expect it to be an absolute issue at absolute immunity. I also don't expect that they're going to say the Court of Appeals got it right, so we're affirming it. So if it goes back and there's some type of test that has to be applied about official acts versus private acts, then that's something the lower court's going to have to figure out. Either way, I think that the chances of this being tried and completed before January 6th are almost nil.
Yeah, these questions have never been raised when it comes to criminal counts. Now that they have, Pandora's box is opened and a lot of questions remain. So more to come on that. And oh, but wait, there's more, because there was the New York case as well. And there's this piece in Politico I read from a reporter inside the courtroom yesterday. She said, I'd love for you to respond to this. She said, David Pecker gave prosecutors just what they were looking for in Trump's hush money testimony. He linked the catch and kill agreement to Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Is that how you see what took place yesterday?
Not necessarily. I mean, what he said was that he did this type of catch and kill procedure, which is basically stopping bad stories before they come to press, a lot of times with other celebrities. And he testified that it wasn't referred to that. He didn't call it that. That's something that the prosecutor started calling it catch and kill. But he did it with Tiger Woods. He did it with some other political people. And that he's been doing it for Donald Trump for the past 17 years. And that in and of itself is not illegal. It's also not illegal to sign NDAs. So I wouldn't necessarily say that anything that he said was terribly damaging for President Trump. I think one of the things that he said, which, you know, that the prosecution is going to seize on, is that there wasn't even a discussion that this was done for the purpose of protecting his reputation with his family, that Pecker assumed it was being done for the election. But again, assumptions are not, that's not necessarily the same as, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You know what they say about when you assume something, I won't say it.
But it's a three-letter word, yeah. But Lexie,
yeah, exactly.
So the former president, when he came out of the courtroom, he said that today was breathtaking in this room. That's how he described it. For those who aren't really following the nuances of this trial very closely, would you call this yesterday a good day for the president, bad day, or somewhat neutral?
I would say that it was somewhat neutral. And what's interesting about this witness is they usually want to have one of your strongest witnesses in the beginning to hook people in and paint the narrative again. You kind of have somebody who, it seems like there were certain things that he testified to that weren't necessarily favorable to Trump, but also he certainly didn't paint him in that bad of a light either. And then when you can cross-examine somebody, you can ask them leading questions, and the defense was able to ask him leading questions, but he's actually kind of a defense-friendly witness. I mean, he's there essentially with a gun to his head. He doesn't want to be there. He likes Donald Trump. So the dynamics of having him testify for the prosecution, even though he's kind of a sympathetic witness to Donald Trump, is very interesting.
Yeah, well, the trial will resume at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time today. Day 8, we'll have you back on to discuss 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 21, and as long as this goes. Lexie, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a great day.
Thanks, Carly.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.